Hello, welcome to our information meeting about this accredited course, Equine Assisted Therapy Clinical Specialist. And we are very happy that almost 30 people showed interest from, again, different countries. So Isabel is coming again. Let me start, just tell you something about Svitani, that we are Academy of Equine Assisted Services. And we started activities 2022 in August. And so far, we made educational impact to 32 countries around the world. We have a beautiful team of international lecturers. And currently, we are offering several accredited courses. Except of this one, we have also Equine Assisted Learning course. And then we have principles to practice, what is open, like people that they don't have required education for this course or Equine Assisted Learning. We will be speaking about the course. We have meeting tomorrow. So this is our Svitani EATS start team. So my name is Vera Lantelm. I'm a chairwoman of Svitani. I'm also currently HETI president, and I'm physiotherapist with more than 25 years of experience. And I'm based in Czech Republic and currently living in France. So I will ask Beth if she can introduce herself.
I am a speech-language pathologist based in the United States. I am an associate professor at Grand Valley State University and have been incorporating horses into speech therapy for over 30 years and love it. And I'm just very excited to be a part of Svitani and part of this course, because I think that many times the speech pathology section kind of gets put to the side because there's not as many of us as physical and occupational therapists. But once you understand what the horse does for speech and language, you'll begin seeing it happen in the PT and OT sessions as well. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Beth. And I will ask Audrey, she can say a few words.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey. I'm an occupational therapist and I'm based in Ireland. I've been working in equine assisted services for about 17 or 18 years. And many more as an occupational therapist. So bringing those two fields together has been a joy, and wouldn't ever dream of going back to a clinical environment, couldn't possibly. And it is an utter privilege to be part of the Svitani team. They're a brilliant team and we learn from each other. And yes, we all bring a lot of experience and different viewpoints to the table. So we hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Audrey. So in our team, Audrey, Beth, and myself, we are the creator of the content. And we have one more member, Sana Matila Rautenian. She is Finnish physiotherapist with over 35 years of experience. She is also former HETI president. And Sana is one of the assessors, because as this accredited course, we need to have official assessors of the learners' work. So some of the PTs might meet her. So as I was mentioning, so this course is accredited by OCN London as a level 5 certificate. And it means that has international recognition. This last month, we also learned that our course was officially recognized by BATH International Registered Therapist, what is a huge step, because this is the first course outside America to be recognized. It means for our participants that once they will get certificate from this course and they would like to work in US in the BATH registered centers, they need to be registered as a BATH therapist and they will be accepted based on this certificate. And then the second lovely news that our course was also officially recognized by ACPI, that is Association of Chartered Physiotherapists in Equine Activities in the UK. And Nona Dane is here with us as a chair. So we are very happy about these steps. And I just would like to say that maybe it will be interesting information for Isabel that we are already finalizing recognition in Portugal. So this is also will be quite big step forward. Our course is created for multi-language approach. So it means that there are no language barriers. All the videos, all the e-learning, there are videos with proper English subtitles, so translation to any languages is possible. Then also we have the text that it's possible to auto-translate, and the live webinars if someone struggles English. It's true that we at least little English needs to be possible, available. So live webinars are also recorded with subtitles, so then the learner can watch it again. And currently we have other students or learners or graduate with different languages. So we will have chance, for instance, for Portuguese or Spanish speaking students that are really struggling with English, so they can have their own like assistant from the graduates. Our course is fully online, and the purpose is to really give this opportunity of education to anyone around the world. So we really diminish the barriers. It means the traveling, complication, also the expenses. We had also students last time we had for our practice in Dublin with Audrey, we had students with from Sudan. So I think we really diminishing the barriers, but we are very happy about it. So this online actually offering flexible learning. For each module, there is 2 weeks deadline, but within the 2 weeks, you can study the content whenever you want because it's pre-recorded. Because it's online, we can bring these international lectures because otherwise I think it wouldn't be possible if it will be in person. Then it's cost effective, of course, no travel and accommodation expenses, and it's repeatable. What it means that it's not just that you listen in-person lectures and then you don't remember everything what was said. This is written, recorded, so you can watch it, rewatch it as many times as you need. Multilingual access, what we already said, and then practical impact. So you can listen your lesson and you can directly go and apply your knowledge in your settings. Also, we guarantee lifetime access for graduates. So if there is someone who doesn't complete the course, the access is taken away. But if there is successful graduation, there is lifetime access. And also we guarantee that any new edits and additional information will be always given for free to our graduates. And then we have global connection, because you can see how many countries we already are teaching. So the global community is lovely. You can meet all the colleagues around the world. So this is small statistics. So you can see that this cohort in October 2026 will be our 4th. And total, currently we have 29 learners from 19 countries. And the professions, PT, physiotherapist 13, 11 OTs, speech language pathology 3, and psychomotrist 1, and we have 1 physician. So all this course is guided learning hours, 240, total 300 hours. We have 39 hours of e-learning, 8 hours of live webinars. It means there are 2 4 hours live webinars that are mandatory. We have 2 30 minutes live one-to-one online meetings that are connected to evaluation of case studies. We have 40 hours hands practice and 100 hours of self-study. There is also considered minimum of 50 hours of gaining horsemanship skills, and there is 2 hours for self-evaluation quizzes and final written exam. So who can join our course? It's the person who is qualified as a physiotherapist, occupational therapist, speech language therapist, or psychomotrist. They need to complete first the online introductory course for principles of equine assisted services, and need to submit professional diploma and also horsemanship video, the ground skills. It's detailedly described on our website, and it's easy. If you're a horse person, it's easy.
Hi, my name is Jen, and I'm a speech therapist working in Australia. I came across this course through Facebook, and I'm very, very glad that I did, because this is an area of practice I've been wanting to do for a long time, and now the opportunity came by, and I'm so glad that I clicked enroll. And I'm now started my equine assisted therapy journey. With this course, there's so many positives. Firstly, it's an online course, so I can access the material and content anytime that I need to, anytime that I want to. And also, it's kind of self-paced. I say kind of because there's still some deadlines for us to meet, but I can still do the work and study outside of my 9-to-5 job. Secondly, the lecturers, they've been so amazing. They're so supportive, they're so compassionate, and also they've been very, very approachable, which I'm so thankful for, especially when it's when they are across the world. When I'm in Australia and they're all the way in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's been such a blessing, I would say. And also, I'm not a horsey person, so I didn't grow up around horses. So I was afraid that this course would not be applicable to me, but I'm so thankful that it is. And lastly, I work as a speech therapist, and I went to uni as to study speech therapy. That course did not cover basic principles about occupational therapy or physiotherapy. So that also made me worried that I couldn't get into equine assisted therapy or study hippotherapy because I lacked that knowledge. Well, in this course, it does cover basic OT and physio principles, which I'm so thankful for, because then it can help me to learn how I can provide specific strategies to support certain clients. So everything has been a blessing, I would say. So if any of the things that I've shared resonated with you and you want to start your equine assisted therapy journey now, I highly encourage you to enroll and start your journey. So thank you very much and good luck.
So let's see if I can play the experience, but I think it's because I deleted my original. So this is, sorry, this is girl, this is a speech language pathologist from Australia. She's wonderful. I met her in person this April, and I think Beth, you can tell about her work because you were assessing her.
Yes, and I was her final evaluator for her practical videos. And I can say that she learned, she learned very much across the course in how to apply the speech and language skill therapy that she knew how to do with incorporating the horse into her sessions, and had many what we call light bulb moments of, oh, That's how it works. That's why it works. That means I can do this. Yes, and different ways to evaluate the horses and what they're doing for our current clients, and the integration of the speech pathology skilled therapy with the horse movement and horse activities. And she was just lovely to work with. And I think across the board, the people that take this course are ones who are open-minded. They want to learn not just the theory behind why the horse works, but also the practical applications, and directly be able to use the techniques and the information that we give. So yeah, wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, and she flew this time to Portugal, to Porto, in April to spend 4 days for practice. Amazing. So this is our timeline. So you can see that there is the course starts 5th of October. And then it's opening the modules online. And after the 4 modules, there is the first live webinar in December. And then it's time to submit virtual center project, another webinar, and starts practicing skills. So the course is designed that learners should complete it within 12 months. There is also possibility to extend in case there are some difficulties. We have quite detailed extension policies, but it needs to be highlighted that it's always for the fee, because we want a learner to be motivated to really complete the course within 1 year. So when we go for the e-learning, so there are several courses and available. So our is Equine Assisted Therapy Clinical Specialist. It has 4 modules. And then we will just now speak more in details. So the first module is physiotherapy. It's my field. So I speak about therapeutic impact of equine assisted therapy and application of developmental kinesiology, because like my specialty is pediatric physiotherapy, and I believe that this developmental kinesiology, one is understood, can be applied on any age client, and actually is the principle how to be successful, how to provide really very effective and high quality therapy sessions. So then we have also discussed about the techniques, how to choose the equine, how to use the movement potential, how to select the proper therapy position, and how to correct the therapy position. We also discuss some practical examples of using these techniques, and there are some case reports. Every module is ended by application by quiz, self-evaluation quiz. It is about for the learner to review if he understood the content, and once you submit it, you get immediately answer, so you know your position. So now it's time for Beth.
Yeah, module 2 is applications of equine assisted therapy within speech language pathology. So we start out with 3 sections on just why the horse. Many people understand or have an easier time understanding why the horse for physical therapy, why the horse for occupational therapy. And these 3 sections go through the different neurological foundations for why this also works for speech language pathology, and goes from different theories, different neurological pathways to why, with some clinical videos of showing how that works in real life. Then we move on to 3 sections where we're applying the horse's movement and equine assisted therapy within what in the United States we call the big 9 areas of clinical practice for speech pathology, which is articulation, voice, fluency or stuttering, expressive and receptive language disorders, hearing disorders, oral rehabilitation, swallowing and dysphagia. Yes, you can use equine assisted therapy to help with swallowing disorders and drooling, just telling you. Then we move into cognitive communication disorders, social communication disorders, and use of augmentative and alternative communication and different devices and direct applications. Then we have 2 case studies, in depth, showing how the horse was integrated, what the client's goals were, how their sessions went, what actually happened, and the results. And then I have a bonus session in here, which is in one of my speech therapy sessions with one of my clients with apraxia of speech, where you directly see how I'm integrating the speech pathology techniques with the horse, and you'll hear his improvement across the session. And then, of course, we end with a quiz. So hopefully you've learned a lot from that time, and we'll prove it in the application quiz.
Thank you. So, occupational therapy. Audrey.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I think, OT is very much, we kind of, we fit in between somewhere between physio and speech. We take some of the principles of the physical and the motor and some of the communication, and then we add on all of those daily living skills. So we discussed the first section is very much about what are our core values in OT. And so they're no different in the equine environment, and it's about how we integrate them into the environment and how we enhance our input through the medium of the equine environment. And then we talk a little bit about skill development in children and adults, and that kind of combines and touches off some of the things that we've talked about, developmental kinesiology and some of the neurological principles, but also just referring that back to OT and the foundations of OT. And no OT module would be complete without addressing sensory processing. So there are 2 parts to that. And also, as OTs, we like to look at the person and the person in the environment. So we not only use the movement of the horse, but we also use the environment, and we work with groundwork. So there's a section on groundwork. And again, it wouldn't be complete without saying, why do we use the equine environment and why do we need to work there, and why is it so powerful? And then we do some case studies. And then I suppose, the last one is a little bit like Beth's bonus session. It is tips and tricks as to how to actually set up your practice and actually start integrating this, and how does it look like in real life. So bringing the theory into actual practical application in sessions. And of course, then there's the quiz.
And I would like to add one thing before we move on, and that is one thing that we are very proud of this course is the in-depth explanation across these 3 areas, PT, OT, and speech. And as a clinical specialist in equine assisted therapy, even though you're focusing on your area, the horse is still impacting the physical and occupational areas. And it's imperative that you understand that and be able to know when and how to interact with the other disciplines and how those disciplines impact your ability to do your work as well. So thank you for that plug.
Absolutely.
I can agree very much, because it's so important that the therapist is multidisciplinary approach, capable to recognize, either if they don't have other therapists around, so they need to recognize when it's needed other therapists, or after this course they will be able to apply some techniques for their client. So then is the last summary comprehensive module, and I must say that when we do the feedback from our learners, so this module is assessed very well, that they say that actually it puts all the information together. So we again review the equine movement in equine assisted therapy. The movement is very detailed discussed in the core principles of equine assisted services. There is full module about the horses and the equine movement. So we also discuss contraindications and precautions, indications and practical applications in most common diagnoses that we are meeting during equine assisted therapy. There is one module just for cerebral palsy because they are the most common clients. Despite we don't see, I think, in clinical practice pure cerebral palsy anymore. It's always combined with some genetic disorders or autism or other health problems. Then my favorite part, just to tell you about the toddlers and infants, equine assisted therapy. There is a full advanced course about it, but just that you know about this option. Then another favorite chapter, how to apply other rehabilitation techniques within your equine assisted therapy session. So it means acupressure, craniosacral therapy, Vojta therapy, or other, just to really facilitate the effectiveness of the therapy session. And then also very important lesson chapter, how to evaluate the client and how to measure the outcome. Discuss a little bit about the research possibilities and evidence-based practice, and also some information about the possibility of funding. And of course, there is at the end of the summary quiz. The e-learning is accompanied by the handbook, so all the theory is also in your PDF, and we recommend that every learner is printing it out and then makes them their own notes for the study. We have a lot of assignments to really bring the theory in practice, and believe me that we know that despite the course is online, you will be very much able to practice. So there are 2 case studies. There is a virtual EAT center project that actually compile all the theoretical knowledge, and to really start to think in practical ways. Then we have the self-check quizzes after each module. We have homework practice checklist, what is quite interesting because you have 2 pages of tasks you need to really try with your horse in your stable. And then we have also equine welfare and well-being observation tasks, risk management observation tasks, and this is all practice. And then we have also, you need to submit videos of your horsemanship skills, riding and ground. So the practical part, we have the 2 live webinars, 4 hours each. This is led by us, that we feature demonstration of real therapy sessions, equipment. There is enough time for question and answers. We have this homework practice checklist. We require 40 hours of hands-on practice, and in equine assisted therapy center of your choice, but we strongly recommend that you do the practice outside of your home center and at least 2 centers. And the reason is just to really start to think out of the box, to facilitate your clinical thinking, and to see how the therapists or practitioners work different centers. And also you can get the contact, maybe where to refer your clients like that. This is very important, because if you don't do it during this course, you will never do it after, because you will be so busy in your center and you never will find time to visit other centers. And then we have these 2 recorded sessions that are accompanying the case studies. For all the task assignments are detailed guidelines. We have these horsemanship skills. So before joining the course. It's submitting video of ground skills. And then at the end of the course, you submit the video of your dressage task at walk and trot. So the final exam is an online multiple choice test, and it has to be done only after successfully submitting all previous assignments. Okay, so you will get certificate of completion issued by OCN. There is a really extended support during the course. We have email and we have always dedicated WhatsApp group for each student group. So it's also the WhatsApp group is promoting friendship. So people are sharing also their lives and just really to meet and to really connect. We have these live webinars, online meetings, and then we have live calls provided as additional assistance if needed. There is one more sharing experience.
Hello, I'm Ziada. I am from Bosnia and Herzegovina and I'm working like speech language therapist. I recommend this course for the future student because this course for me was amazing experience. Flexibility in learning was important for me and allowed me to balance between my private life, my obligations of the job and this of my study. Also, I have support all the time and that is big important. All professors are amazing and have a lot of experience in this field for a long time. Actually, we learned a lot of and introduce, make connection, and I think that is between learning and all that stuff was a big friendship, make big friendship with all that professionals around Europe. Also, I am now confident all what I learn that I can apply in the outside of my office in the real world. This is good experience and I recommend for all that apply for this. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good summer to
Have
all
a
of
nice
you.
day.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.